Okay, this is episode 33 of OverSight, a discussion show related to the game Overwatch, particularly the Overwatch League. I mean, I'd love to say that we cover the whole world of Overwatch and we care about it. Like, we can't even get Monte and Watch contenders most times, so that's not true. It's all a lie. We're not even going to pretend like that at the beginning now, Monte. We're just going to come straight in with the facts. There's only the Overwatch League and people who one day aspire to be in the Overwatch League. That's the only people who exist to us. Everyone else is dead to us. So, episode 33, this might be a transcendent episode. We've reached the 33rd one, 33rd degree of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. People always say that's where you get taken in the Illuminati, made truly woke, and then you know what's going on in the world. Now, I don't know what the actual secret is there because, I mean, I'm obviously not in it, am I? And if I was, I wouldn't really just expose it now in a fucking Overwatch talk show, would I? Like, be a bit of a low-key way to do it, especially since then, based on all those oaths, they're about to kill me. So I don't think that's a good deal, being killed just for revealing some shit on an Overwatch show. But that's what Monty does every week anyway. Shout out to Reddit. There we go. See how I tied that back in there? Not bad. Not bad. Yeah. In the end, we got it back. So, Monty, how's this week been? Because here's the thing, right? I actually naively thought that what would be great about Overwatch is all the casters would just get love all the time because they know, first of all, unlike most games, none of you are coming up through Overwatch generally. Most people have history in other games and they're coming into the Overwatch League established from League of Legends or CSGO or whatever it might be. Uber obviously did a whole bunch of different games. And so I thought, right, the fans are going to think, cool, we've got like experienced casters. We've got some of the top casters from other games. They're going to really love it. But you know what? This might sound crazy. Some people are going to be shocked right now. But some of the fans of the Overwatch League can be a bit sensitive. Sometimes they get a bit upset,
really
don't
shocking.
They? How's this week been?
Weird. It's been weird. What can you say? I think there probably should be some level of burden of proof for crap that's posted on Reddit, like perhaps examples of things before giant circle jerks begin. Really, really interesting time to be me. But you know what? I'm used to it at this point in time. Been through this for years. But I do agree. It is fascinating to see the Overwatch community react this way when, honestly, like no game has started with this many like experienced veteran casters before.
Especially because, like, you have to realize, I don't see every game. So sometimes when I see these threads, I'm like, oh, shit, what's going down now? Like, this must be some pure banter. And then I open it up and it's like, so everyone's mad that he was holding a bag of sand. Wait a minute. Like, where does this go? Did he make a sandy vagina joke? Where's this going? Like, I mean, ironically, they did all end up with sand in their vaginas, apparently. So, but yeah, apparently that's what people are mad about, Monty, that you just held up the sand, and this is obviously referring to the fact that NYXL appears to be sandbagging in their games.
They definitely are. I don't think anybody is remotely questioning that who has a brain right now.
Yes. You know the reason, though, why, and obviously only you and I will be able to appreciate this. Harsha a little bit, because I know you followed some League of Legends, but do you remember, Harsha? Actually, let's test you. So in the old days of Someone in Insight, if you go back a few years to like 2015...
Is this Chinese sandbagging?
Yes, it's when China got really, really good, and there was this whole debate about whether or not some of them were like sandbagging and playing purposely bad, and just, I don't know, okay. I always can't remember it myself. It was such a ludicrous premise.
Okay, so this is what was so hilarious about that Reddit thread was like the top upvoted comment was like, and Monty's such a hypocrite because he hated sandbagging when the Chinese scene said it. But that has nothing to do with what we're saying about New York. Like the whole thing about the Chinese sandbagging was that people were claiming that the Chinese teams were sandbagging in their own region against other Chinese teams and that they were going to be good at international events or suddenly they like play up to an entirely new level. Like they weren't sandbagging, they were just bad. Okay. Yes. New York is sandbagging. They're not just bad. There's a big difference. It's not that I care about talking about sandbagging because sports teams, esports teams do it all the time if they've locked up a number one seed. That specific instance in League of Legends had nothing to do with NYXL, and it's not why I was frustrated. I was frustrated because people were calling good teams or bad teams good and having all these complex theories about them sandbagging, despite the fact that we had never seen them at that high level. We know what New York XL is capable of, and we know they're playing well below that right now. And surprise, they have nothing to play for. So of course they're going to rest their players. Jesus. I do exactly the same thing. Okay. I do exactly the same thing. If I was a coach of the NYXL, you have the luxury. I'm sure everyone, you guys on the shot can say, all the players are so tired at this point in time that it would be great for any team to give their players a break. Probably you guys are less tired because you have literally 5 out of 6, new players who are generally starting. So most of you guys have only played for half the season, but a lot of the teams that have had players that have been playing for the entirety of Overwatch League are exhausted right now. So I think giving New York's players a rest, or at least a lighter schedule until playoffs, is a good idea so they don't burn out.
Just for my opinion, I think NIXL also need to do like that. Yeah, they already get a playoff stage up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, seed. But for my opinion, I think their seed, like I said, their player make this situation. It's like normally NIXL don't play the tanker comp a lot. Yeah, they also use Orisa comp, but they don't use Reinhardt and Bridget. They don't use it at both, right? But just think about their roster. Their roster, Jonah and Pine or Saberby or Libero. Yeah, if the tanker just gotta create space and just ping-ponging, then all of their player make that. And NIXL use that same strategy for the start of Apex Season 1, NIXL using the same strategy, really defensive and just giving a lot of chance DPS, right? But for that, then the Winston and D.Va will be the perfect answer. But now, essentially, lots of team use Bridget, right? And Bridget is a very strong hero for, counter the Winston. And also, the Bridget with the Reinhardt synergy, it's when you capture the 8 point with the Reinhardt, with a Bridget, then the tanker's ultimate is cycling, right? So lots of team use this snowball a lot. But NIXL, their players very amazing, right? It's just doing some ping-ponging and just giving a lots of chance, then their player made it. Yeah, also Birds with us, they made it. But I think that makes them don't use a Reinhardt for some map. Some map, the Reinhardt is needed, in my opinion, like Hanamura or that kind of map. So I think that makes New York XL, NIXL, essentially, it feels like they're not doing very well. Maybe they are just waiting for the next playoff.
Okay. Right, just so we can make it clear, because I didn't actually get a chance to introduce these people, obviously, and that was a download and a half right there. There's so many points he was hitting, right? So just to make it clear, obviously our guests for this episode, we've got Harsha, because listen, I'm not going to make one of those horrible jokes I normally make, we didn't have anyone else available. No, what we have, Monty, is we have a deep bench of trusted guests that we know we can draw upon to appear on this show who don't have a lot going on. That's purely coincidental. That's, each one has his own choice in life. But if they do, they're actually good at talking. And that's one of the things about you, Harsha. You're good at talking. I don't know what else you are. I can't know if you're good at your job. You might be terrible. I don't fucking know what you do with your team. Half the time I wondered what was anyone doing at the Shock. But then again, apparently you're good now. So maybe you had something to do with that. Maybe you didn't. Who knows? But you're good at talking. That's all that matters. So anyway, the other guest is obviously from the same team, coincidentally. It's Crusty, who obviously is the head coach of the team now. The team's doing very well. Formerly of the Boston Uprising. But, back when they used to be good, when they used to win matches. He used to be one of the guys perhaps doing something to do that. We'll see. Here's the thing, Crusty. I've got to warn you when you come to this episode, though. One, because you are Korean and a coach, people automatically assume you must know everything about the game. And two, and this is the important one, okay, so be careful with this, is we already had a guy called Wizard Hyung on this show from the New York Excelsior. And since he played up the fact that he knows everything, and basically, he reminds me of this great story Michael Jordan told. Michael Jordan, the basketball player, really famous, best basketball player ever, right? He has an amazing quote where he said, "I never actually lost a game, I just ran out of time." And his point was, if the game had lasted 10 minutes more, he thinks he would have beaten anyone he'd played. He would have just kept shooting and taking shots and defending them. That's what Wizard Hyung kind of set his concept up as. It's he never actually lost a game. He just sometimes didn't have complete data. And if he'd have had the data set and the time to crunch the numbers, he would have won every single game. So people are going to expect, Crusty, some straight fire. We're going to expect knowledge bombs. You're going to tell us everything about Overwatch League, yeah?
So what I need to talk knowledge of Overwatch League?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna get from you.
Yeah, but it's too huge. Can you just give me the answer? Like,
Yeah. Crusty, people think, right, because you were the head coach of Boston and they went undefeated in the stage and they were doing really, really well. And this was a team that actually a lot of people didn't think was going to be the best. And then you left Boston. They're not doing very well now. You're on Shock. Shock's doing really well. Is Crusty the best coach?
yeah, it's hard to answer, but
Why? Just say yes.
So for me, I can also say that I just have a proud that I am proud for. I think I am the not a best, but maybe one of the top 3 coach. Just that is my opinion because I have a lot of experience and like if you see my career, then I just changed to all of the amateur team to the 1-tier team or just maybe just top tier team. And I just get a lot of sponsorship and I'm very good at raising the underdog team to the I always make a drama. All the team what I made was a drama. Yeah. and for Boston, the Boston, it was very great at stage 3, honestly. And just the people also curious for why I leave that team, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing huge. Just like maybe at the first time I go to that team, and I think all of the players have lots of potential, and we just all of the coach work together. But for me, I go to Boston for a head coach, but our system was just all of the coach is same.
Yes.
That's right. So, but I expect, I can also just stay there. And for my opinion, it's I expect for a head coach and go Boston, but that was not true. Just it was a little different. So
you needed more power.
I think that is depend on team, honestly. Yeah, some team the head coach and the more other staff. Some more follow the head coach, and some team just all of the head coach and the coach are same. But what I expected was I'm the head coach, then I can just do what my system. But that was not true. So just I try to just leave the team, and also I'm also the part of that team. But if I leave, I also feel sorry for that because I leave that team. So, one of the person is not in their team, then, I make the lag. So, then how can they do well, honestly? Honestly, I don't think, I'm the problem, but I'm the problem of the Boston also. I leave the team, so I made the team bad.
Yeah.
I think all the staff was smart, honestly, and Shake and Mini, and the Hug was also some good person. Hug was also a good person, but just I leave. I think that is the problem of the Boston. I also do the work, some part of the work.
Yeah.
I loved all of that.
What I love Monty is it's just the sort of the innocence of the way, it's just obviously certain phrases would mean something different, So when you said I leave, so how can they win? It's I'm with you, man. I don't know. It's pretty much impossible at this point in time. So I mean, from the mouths of babes, what can I tell you? Okay. What do you mean by that, though? When you say that you were the problem of Boston, just because they can't get a coach in such a short space of time, what did you mean by that?
So I'm the problem with the Boston. It's now I'm the problem because, I leave. So there's a lack of my space. So
yes,
they also don't hire one new coach. Then the 2 coach and they need to do all of the work. And that is the problem, honestly. Okay. So that's why I said the problem. And
were you the person who thought Boston Uprising should just run dive all the time? Was that your decision?
Run dive, because we also like a dive a lot. Because for the lots of Korean team, I'm not sure, but lots of Korean teams use more mobility, always Winston Diva, and just always get a advantage with using our mobility. And we have a great player like a striker, right? So And for leader of the team at that time, you know that player.
He who must not be named.
Yeah, like yeah. He was the leader of the team, and we are also like a culture difference. Like we have a Korean player and a Western player. Yeah, so that's the communication can be also a little hard during the fight. So we made one leader, and he was that player.
Yes.
Yeah, but also I think that was also the problem, honestly. Yes. So yeah, and also he is a leader, so we also use the full dive a lot. But we try to pocket him, and we try to give him a lot of power. So our strategy has a clear counter. If they do an NIXL, a just full counter about the dive. But now after we change, the player is out and the mistake verb in. Yes. At that time, we can also do more try to pocket or gen, and because before we always try to pocket a DPS, right?
Yes.
So at that time, so after our strategy has a little changed, and we can do more flexible. But also he was he was a good leader, so we just, like I said, we just always follow him. But after he gone, we try to use lots of strategy. Okay. So I think that makes the Boston strong at this stage 3. Our strategy was just one side, but after he go, we use lots of strategy for Also, our comp is very, very narrow, but we can use lots of strategy, honestly.
Okay. So actually running dive all the time was basically a way to make up for lack of communication between certain players and make it simpler. Like you all just follow this guy, pocket this guy, and then we win the game.
Yeah, sure. But we just play slow, pocket and that's right. So the most important thing for using a pocket DPS is control the tempo. Then the pocket DPS need to be smart and make a decision. But I think that was that team's strength, honestly, because he can coordinate it. He can make the team coordinated, and he can micromanagement during the fight. But I also feel a little hard thing. It's after I come here, the Boston has just narrow roster, right? 6 or 7 maybe. Yeah. But also they have a sub, but normally they use a 6 or 7 roster. For here, we have also lots of talented player. So we need to use the sub, one DPS. He's very good at McCree and a Widowmaker. But if he need to use Genji, then if he have just 6 roster, I want to just teach him play Genji. Yeah, I think I can do that. But we have a already good player, right? So at that time we try to use the DPS who can play Genji. Then the DPS is changed, right? Then there's no leader, honestly, for our team now, clearly. So I think that is the problem for we are San Francisco chalk, right? Every time we get
some would say.
Yeah. we did really great, good at defense and attack. Yes. Or always some little thing some planning and that kind of thing. I also come here and try to change a lot, but lots of teammates play only just they're selfish, just themselves. They make a plan for themselves.
So Crusty, I have a question for you. So when we talk about how Dreamcasper used to be pocketed on Boston and he was the leader of the team, is this one of the reasons why Baby Bay is now coming into the San Francisco Shock roster? Because he talks a lot and is an in-game leader as a DPS player? And is this similar to how Boston played with Dreamcasper?
Yeah, some map I think I need a leader, and also especially. Do I can comment that? Okay, so just normally if you use a triple tanker comp a lot, then that the most important thing is maximize their ultimate value. I'm Jarya, then then yeah, you have an ultimate. Then you need to lead that at that time. If you just wait until the teammate says something, then it's too late. Then the tempo is too slow, right? But yeah, Architect, he's amazing. I can say that he's very great. But the problem is like his communication is a little lacked. Like he is hard to listen when he talks really fast. The tanker comp always talking, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, my city's drawing. Hey, like I will just flash shatter and like just keep thinking about combo and keep talking up combo. Yeah, but at that time, he is hard to listen and talk. Okay. So that's why we use a baby, because he's a shot caller and he keep lead the team. So,
okay, so yes. And that's why you used him yesterday on Brigitte, because on Oasis, you needed someone to call very quickly. And what I liked about your strategy yesterday was that you knew that you targeted Pine on Oasis, because Pine is always alone. So you use Lucio's speed, all 6 players to go after Pine. It was a very good strategy against Pine on Oasis. And that was the map that you won, and your team looked really good, but we're not used to seeing Baby Bay play the Brigitte, but it's because of the shot calling, getting those combos in and selecting the targets.
Yeah, but also that was the little problem, because maybe the player was so hyped too. Like they need to just...
the tempo was like too fast, honestly.
Yeah, just like they need to calm down and just keep talking about the ultimate and just focus. Sometimes they also need to just focus on their play, but like Baby and Sinatra think about just their style. Like they want to keep shaking, right? One time we need to be coordinated at that tempo. They can't make that, like because they want to keep doing something. But I think that is the problem on me, honestly.
Okay.
Because I tried that roster and
Here's the thing. Go on.
Just because I think that mistake come from because I just played at the 6-man roster and I come here and there's a lot of roster here. Yes. So I also run during that match, honestly. Like if I just sub in other player, and also it can be the poison. Like
okay.
I also think about that, and I think I just think that is the advantage. But yesterday it was really poison.
Yes, because here's the thing. First of all, I can already tell this episode is going to be straight fire. I'm just giving my preemptive analysis there. It's already so much that just the unintentional stuff was a straight fire in itself. But anyway, here's the thing. Huck from Boston Uprising, like president or whatever his name is, president of operations or some shit.
Mr. President, I believe.
So he's tried to bill himself that because the Uprising is owned by the group.
Bill himself, like Bill Belichick himself.
He's tried to bill it, Crusty, that he's the Bill Belichick, like from the American football team, and he's the coach and stuff. But you have to understand, he is in the level that Bill Belichick for a period of time was also the general manager. He could also make roster moves and stuff, But actually, you're the Bill Belichick. Like, if we're looking into it, like, you made Boston Uprising. They were doing really well, You had them all on point there. You came over to the San Francisco Shock. It's worked well. I mean, you were saying before that it was very important that they had to keep that player. I call him Dreamcast, but you call him that player. Keep him in pocket. That's actually the reason, Crusty, people think why you're on the San Francisco Shock, is that the San Francisco Shock went in their pocket, got out a massive stack of $100 bills, and they said, Crusty, we've got all the money in the world, and you're a sick coach. Come and join us, and we'll pay you lots of money. And you were like, yes, I love money and being the head coach. Hello, I'm the San Francisco Shock Crusty head coach.
Yeah, but there is also the inside problem, but
yeah. Also, we don't have to talk about the inside problems. But
I just want to get a new team, and I want to try as a head coach. So maybe I will not reply that because it can be
Don't worry about it, mate. A lot of the stuff I say is not actually necessary to reply to. Don't worry. That's just the script. That's how the show works. It's okay. No, you're doing a great job, mate. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Right. What about this then? So, Monty, since they have changed a lot of players in the Shock, and the Shock, like from the first 2 stages we talked about, there's almost no point comparing them. It's a totally different squad, basically. What do you think has changed with the new lineup? Like, what's different about how they operate now?
Well, they can actually. They still have, surprisingly, of course, from having most of the players changed out. Because remember, like basically, there's sort of like 1 or 2 players left from their original starting roster, right? Because we haven't seen very much Dante recently. Obviously, Super, Sinatra, Choi Hyobin, Architect, all these, even Moth, all these guys, all new to this roster. So it's sort of only Sleepy and then sometimes Baby Bay, who's still active. So what's surprising about that is that they're still a better defensive team than they are an like attacking team. Crusty was alluding to that earlier. But at least I think what's interesting is that their style, not attack or defense, but their style of play is now much more aggressive. And part of that obviously is getting aggressive players like Sinatra into the lineup. And having more threats like they do with Architect or with Baby Bay when he's in form. But I think also that is probably a lot of Krusty's influence as well, because Boston became an aggressive dive team, and San Francisco never really knew how to play dive prior to Crusty joining the roster. So I think that these are pretty important factors for their play style, and it's made them much more fun and compelling to watch, honestly.
Okay. Harsha, you surely are the man who can give us some insight here. What changed with Crusty coming in? How's it been different since he's arrived?
I would say it's a very different dynamic in terms of like deciding what to play or like how to play. He's more like hands-on, not hands-on, but I would say everybody's been saying alpha. I don't know if that's like the best word, but I guess alpha in the sense that like it's kind of his way or that's it. Yeah, the highway, I guess. And so I think that's helped a lot, especially with dive, because we weren't a very patient team, and honestly, we're still not really that patient. But you have to take things like step by step, and I think he's been good at implementing that.
Okay. Maybe you can tell us about some of the players then, Crusty, your impression of them, because we had as a guest on this show a number of weeks back now, but we had Super, wasn't it? I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, Super.
We had him on the show.
Both
and at
Super
the time,
Dante.
he hadn't yet played in the Overwatch League because he was too young. And I have to tell you, Crusty, he came off a little bit cocky. Like, he definitely thought he was amazing. And he really did think when he came into the Overwatch League, he was just going to tear it up and be one of the best players. And this is before the team even had Architect properly in the lineup. Like, a lot of things, I don't even think you were there yet. So what would you tell us about Super? Who is this guy?
Super. How was it? Yeah, so I first time met a Super. Honestly, my thought was, he is so aggressive. First time, I thought like, honestly, like stupid. But I think after I see his play more and more, and like I feel like he believed the teammates, and he make a chance and he make a space for the teammates, and I think that is also a really strength for Shock. Honestly, like we have lots of good DPS for us, like it's Sinatra and Baby Bay and Dante or Architect or like so.
No, that's okay.
For DPS, they need to get a space. But if the DPS get a lot of aggro, then DPS can't do something. But Super always like he play with the aggro, so that makes our DPS can make something a lot. But I also think like after I come this team, Super is playing. Lots of Winston have a style like a flex and main, right? Like who is flanky and who is a main. But our team can't use that style. Like our team is bad at using that style. Like so I also maximize that. If the Super do like that, then also our backline need to do something at the same time. But like the Western style, it's like I know, but not Western. Just our team style was like at the front line do something, or backline just do whatever. Like just they 5 separated. So I try to teach to maximize about doing it once, like be more coordinated.
So it kind of means that Super and the backline have like different tempos, where Super draws a lot of aggro and we don't really make use of it, and it kind of looks like he's feeding sometimes, just because they're not playing on like the same wavelength, I would say.
Yeah, so I think that Shipper is really good player, honestly, especially for USA tanker. I also think like I always think like a Shipper and Muma is the really good tanker. I think one for flanking and one for main, and I think that depend on which strategy you use. But I think both are really good card, and I also really like Shipper.
Okay. Was it tough when you came to this team? Because I look at the lineup, right? You've got Super, you've got Sinatra, you've got Dante. Now, these are all not just young players. They're not super experienced players. They're all basically like young American guys who are like, hey, dude, oh, shit, look, I'm just going fucking ham. And like,
yeah.
Was there a cultural difference? Did you have to kind of get acclimatized to these guys?
Yeah, so we have a really great players, but just they are not also. Yeah, I think yesterday also that problem happened. Like they are not very experienced, right? So during the match, like all of the players when we try to fight like when the situation choking situation, then they also sometimes I feel like don't know what to do. So I also just try to teach them about at that situation, like catching the winning situation. But I think it also need take a more time because after I come, only just about 1 month. Yeah, only just 1 month passed. So I think the player need to get a more experience, and I think we need more time. But almost, season finish.
So, Harsha, when you guys listen to the comms, so in the dugouts, there are headsets so the coaches can listen to the comms. We talked a lot about San Francisco sort of going into panic mode in stage 1 when everything would fall apart at the last second.
Yeah.
And it seems like from what Crusty's saying, you got like the players are very excitable, right? It seems like the tempo wasn't perfect for you guys. They were doing things a little too quickly for your liking. How are the comms right now? Do you think that having these young players, like Crusty's saying, it makes a big difference in how they communicate in the game, and they just haven't calmed down enough yet? They do get flustered or too trigger happy.
I think that's also part of having like a lineup that wasn't all around in stage 1, right? So they haven't all had the same amount of time to adjust to like the land environment. And they are like pretty excitable, I would say, especially in like overtime scenarios when, we've had so many good defenses where we hold on first point and then don't cap enough % to win a map. And I think that's like a really big issue because they can't really. We
saw that against New York on Hanamura yesterday.
It happens like once per match, to be honest.
You guys probably should have like won Hanamura.
Yeah. But basically we'll have like a clear win condition and not really capitalize on it because we weren't able to, we get too hyped up and we're not able to properly, realize that we have that win condition, I would say.
After I come to this team, I just focus catch the winning condition really a lot. But I think at the scrim, it is pretty good, honestly, because I thought, we have finished. We have a change and we fix a lot. But at the match, I think maybe they are too young. They're so hyped. They was like, oh my god, we almost win the new NISL, and just they rush and just they do what they want. So that is also their problem, and I also work on it. But maybe the experience and there's no clear leader make this happen, for my opinion.
So, Crusty, this is pretty different compared to Boston, because when we listen to Boston's comms, because a lot of fans have heard Boston talk on the broadcast, Boston is very calm all the time. They don't get really hype. Is this, do you think it's because there are players like Gamsu on Boston who have been professional players? Gamsu was a professional League of Legends player, so he is very experienced. Do you think it's just the personalities, or because the players are older? But San Francisco comms and Boston comms are very, very different. Very different.
Sure. I think the first time when Dream was there, that the comp was also a little hyped. So also sometimes that is the problem. But now their players, some players are passive, and now there's some change for roster, and after the players change, now that we don't have a we just have a can I say that we have a just only before we just have a one leader, we have a two leader, but now we have just one leader. So maybe that the communication will be more calm. But I think that gave lots of advantage to the Boston at the stage 3. The comp was more clear, and it helps the team. It makes the team only do one side, one plan, one strategy. But for us, I also say about which time you need to call and which time you need to. But they are just keep calling when we are when they are hyped. So I feedback that strongly, and I also working on it.
Okay. When you used to be in Korea and you were coaching that NC Foxes team, a player people will know from that team because he was on the Boston Uprising was obviously Neko. Now, during the time you were with the Boston Uprising, he was a main player in the team. He was always the Zenyatta, and people are expected to see him in the lineup, but he doesn't actually play for Boston Uprising now. They use this new Korean aim god instead. What do you think of this? Was he just in the team because you wanted him to be? By the way, I'm going to ask a lot of questions that sound quite rude like that. I'm just giving you the heads up.
Oh my god. So I think maybe Neko get a lot of care, and Neko is pretty aggressive, but I think Enga play is pretty passive. So maybe they wanna try some new strategy. So I'm not sure for why they're using that, but I think they wanna make a change at their strategy. So I think that's why they're using Aim God.
It's also worth noting that Aim God's English is much better. So he used to live in Canada apparently, so they feel like his communication with the rest of the team is superior. That's what I've heard. Also, he's been playing well. So I have another question for you. You used to coach Need, the player, who is now known new ID. Izayaki is his new ID, and he is on the Los Angeles Valiant. And from what I hear, he is maybe better than Kariv. You used to coach Izayaki. Do you think the Valiant will start playing Izayaki soon? What do you think about him as a player?
I see lots of potential to him. So that's why I also picked the Need to that team. Before I leave the team, I picked Need for the team, and I also just wanna keep him for when I go to other team. I also want to take him at that time, because I see he has lots of potential. And the one thing is he don't know about. He's very good at that character, and he's very good at this game, but he don't know about this game a lot, a strategy thing. So after who teach that, then I think he can be really great. Yeah, I think the Valiant will use Need for soon. Yeah.
So you think he will be a better player than Kariv?
Yeah, I think maybe just my opinion. It's I think Need is better.
Interesting. So now many fans do not know about some of the coaches in this league, the other Korean coaches in this league. So you don't need to talk shit about other coaches, but one coach we don't hear a lot about is MBC on the LA Valiant. What do you think about him as a coach?
I think he have a really he has a really charisma, and I also feel like he is really the head coach,
authoritative.
He make the team very coordinated, and he make the team coordinated for inside the game and outside the game. Sometimes he's kind, and sometimes he's very strict, and I really like his style. I think I'm not sure for him, because I also don't know about him very well. But he was also the Mighty coach, and also the Mighty. That team strength was a very coordinated play scatter. And Mighty also got a pretty good lizard, but not a lizard, but just their play was very good. So I think the embassy come, and after, they also changed. And now I think the embassy also made that team very strong. That is my opinion.
Fair enough. What do you actually think of Wizard Hyung, the guy I mentioned before, who, thanks to this show, is a household sensation?
Richard Hyung.
Is he a rival of yours?
Or Pavane?
Just maybe if I say some toxic, I not toxic. Just
why would you say something toxic? Don't worry about that. You do fine.
Just I
real.
think I think NIXL's coach are very smart and they know how to maximize their players. They but I also think just they're using the one style for a long time. But it makes sense. They keep winning.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the one style, because you talked a lot about it at the start when you said that they don't use the Reinhardt enough on Reinhardt maps. They use a lot of Winston. They always have ever since they were LW Blue, basically. So do you think that NYXL can play the Winston and they are just not playing the Winston right now because they have first seed? How much do you think it is them not trying right now or sandbagging versus how much is it that they just can't play the style of Overwatch that is good right now? Because we know Mono is a pretty good Reinhardt from previous teams.
Mm-hmm. Sure, that's right. I think maybe they are also keep for the playoff, but just for my opinion, then it means like don't try hard at the game. But I don't think they will, because all of the teammates, especially also the Korean, they don't want to just enjoy the game. All the match is very important, even they get a score. But if they have an idea for just keep the strategy, then I think that's fine. But for me, they need to try hard for that. And recently, they used the team which team used Reinhardt a lot, like Reinhardt, like Valiant or Gladiator. They both use Reinhardt for some map, right? Well, I'm not sure that, and I feel like I also don't use the Reinhardt for that map, and they lose for that. I think, and also I think there's some Korean ego. Like for me, I also just prefer the Winston D.Va a lot. I just think like triple tank and a triple healer. Oh, that's stupid. That is just so just defensive, and just if you just use Winston D.Va and just poke, and just when they're low, when we dive, then we can get a winning situation. We can catch that. But the one thing hard was they're too fast. They're really fast, and they just touch the point, and after they use Bridget, right? Now the Bridget comes, so lots of teams use Bridget. So it forced them like a Winston D.Va touch the point. They're all at the point, so I need to touch. Someone need to touch. Okay, I will. But at that time, they just bust using a Bridget. So at that time, if the NIXL catch the chance, like a tire, make a lots of damage, and use tire or Widowmaker kill someone, then that's their winning condition. But without that, they need to lose. Like they will lose. So
just to discuss this and actually explain it for people, what he's talking about is that when you're trying to play some of these compositions and you're playing defense, and let's say you're trying to hold point A on Blizzard World, you have to cycle these tanks onto the point when the team is attacking. But the problem is that when Brigitte is in the meta, she can stun the tank before the tank can walk off the point. So when I say cycle tanks, I mean D.Va and Winston are changing places on the point. Ping-ponging, as he was saying, on the because we call it ping-ponging, cycling, ping-ponging onto the points. And so what happens is, in order to stop the percentage from going up, one will drop onto the point on King's Row or Blizzard World and then jump away using the movement ability. But you can't jump away with the Brigitte there. You just get stunned and then focus down, basically.
Sure. And also
that's what you mean, right, Crusty?
That's right. And also the
Okay.
Bridget have a little healing, right? So it is also you for make the position stable. I just also think the Winston Diva is the best, but
I mean, it is like the thing is that they're always going to be strong because they have mobility, and mobility in any FPS or MOBA game is the best thing to have.
Sure, yeah, always.
The joke is that Koreans will always use Winston Diva because of their ego. Like they'll always have to make it work.
Yeah.
Well, I think they always can make it work. Basically,
yeah, they have been making it work, but
they did it. Yeah,
I think basically, if you're only going to run Winston Diva, it can be exploitable. But NYXL has managed to make it work for the most part.
It's something like Hanamura. Lots of teams use tanker. And that snowball is very strong. Like the cycle. Also, that I just don't want to just talk about because of Bridget. After capture the A point, then the tanker, one of the tanker have ultimate, right? But if they use if they change to like an OverSight to Winston at that time, the tanker have ultimate. So they want to ping ponging, but just they use a shatter or like a grab or use a Ellie that. How can I say that
the defensive tanks won't have their ultimates while the attacking team will.
Strong. So it is always like lots of team get a snowball a lot, and that is that is on deterred, right? Now the A and B is like a pre-pass a lot. Also, we just pre-pass that, but after A attack was bad.
Okay. Here's the thing though.
Just with that, when he says about the tanks on like Hanamura, he's talking about the triple tank, triple support compositions that snowball with the tank and support ultimates very, very quickly.
You can even do it without like triple support. Like Dallas does it with Widow a lot, although it didn't work as well against Houston. But yeah, pretty much just like having several tanks that have like really strong ultimates that snowball onto second.
Okay.
So yeah, sorry. I like the whole thing about this is I'm just trying to help people understand Crusty, because you bring up a lot of very complex strategy discussions, which is great. But I'm trying to make sure people understand. Like we understand because we know the game very well, but I think a lot of people don't understand these really advanced like Overwatch concepts you're bringing up. So I'll try and explain the basics so that people can understand, because I really appreciate what you're saying, but it can be a little tricky.
Crusty, back when you used to be a coach in Apex, the team everyone remembers, the legendary team, was obviously Lunatic High. They were the best team. Everyone thought they were amazing. And they came into the Overwatch League, and obviously they are the Seoul Dynasty, right? This is the team we all hoped would be very good. And they've always had issues, but this stage especially, it's been really bad, because the only teams they've beaten are Shanghai Dragons and Florida Mayhem, which are the two bottom teams. What do you think is the problem Seoul Dynasty has? Why is this team not a top team?
I think same problem when the team, all the team come to Overwatch League, and that team is not good at flexible thing. Like Lunatic High also like Miro. Recently Miro Reinhardt is good, but Miro's like Winston is like just flanky. He can't lead the team. I feel like, and for Cookie, then he's just for leading a team. If the tanker change, there's a clear strategy. I can feel like they subbing in this player, and then I feel like just they will rush.
Too obvious.
They want to play slow. It's very easy to counter for them. So I think the important thing is when they bring that roster to this Overwatch League, the tempo is very fast. The meta changed a lot, and lots of team is using lots of different strategy, right? Some team use OverSight, some team use Reinhardt, some team use Winston Diva, but who can just play only one style can make the poison. They need to just do that style. So I think it is very easy to predict, and also maybe if they So they think, yeah, I think even I will also agree at that time. Ratikai was really legend, right? I don't think there was a lack of the healer, and so maybe just they hire lots of DPS. But just for future, I also think they need to get a more for sub, like a more healer sub and a more tanker sub. Like, yeah, I think they need to do that.
Well, I think we all agree with that. So there was a rumor before the roster lock happened that Seoul Dynasty was going to sign Cox as a player. And Cox is a very good flex support. And we also know he was the shot caller, the leader of Runaway. Do you think that Seoul Dynasty should have signed Cox? Do you think that would have helped?
I think Cox is very amazing player. Like he at the Runaway, his play was very amazing. But I also think like, but I don't think so strongly. Like now that team need a leader, but Jen can also be the leader. But I think maybe I feel like there's lots of problem at there. So I don't think if they just buy Cox, I don't think just the problem will solve, for my opinion.
Would it help?
Yeah, I think it could help. It could help. But also when they use Cox, maybe, also there will be a problem. Yeah.
Are you saying there will still be a problem, but Cox might have made it a little?
Yeah, even Cox play, I think there will be still a problem. There will be
Okay, so let me ask you a different question. Seoul has many coaches. They have Hokuri and Always, Uv, and Nugget, and they have many head coaches. And you have said that you wanted to go to San Francisco because you wanted to be a head coach and you like, having a hierarchy, right? Where it's clear somebody has control. Do you think it is a problem for Seoul? Do you think their strategy problems are because they have too many coaches making decisions?
Yeah, for me, I also think that because I don't know about them well, but like all of the team if they have too many good coach, always they debate. Maybe one strategy they will debate for 1 hour, 2 hour, and it will never stop. So I also think like one team need one style. Even that, if the coach was the problem, like if they use that coach's style, and if that do not work well, then just they need to fire. But I think they need a head coach and other coach. But I think they're not clear for that.
Okay.
Like maybe.
Right.
But I don't know well. So
I like that.
Crusty,
Sort of the approach that they took in the movie The Dark Knight, where the Joker took a pool cue and he snapped it over his knee and he said, "We're holding tryouts." So the idea is, the ones who succeed, they will stay. The others will be removed.
yeah.
I don't know if that's how Seoul management is going to figure it out.
Yeah.
So who would you, Crusty, if tomorrow you become the head coach of Seoul Dynasty?
Just hypothetically. Obviously, we're not going to make this happen.
Okay.
Which players do you want to come to Seoul? How do you fix Seoul?
So for me, I wanna test for Miro, like because I think Miro is a good player, but maybe he don't know how to play as a main sometimes, or like be a caller. So maybe like I wanna just test the player about their limit, and like some player can't change, some player can. So. But for me, I have a confidence at teaching the players. So maybe I will just test all the player, and I will just find I'll find the lag, and I want to pick the player. I can't say sure now. So that's why I can't say sure, because I need to test all the player, which is lag, or just they can also do that, but they didn't. Like.
So you think that you would test the players and see if they could be coached, and maybe Miro could be saved.
Yeah, but maybe if I coach like because before I think all of their coaches smart, but we can also teach the player, right? I said I have strengths at teaching the player, so maybe teach him and make him know about how to play this game. And after we test again, then if he do that wrong, then I think we need to change all the thing. But without test and without try, I can't say that.
So there's nobody you would sign? No Korean contenders players that you think would be good for the team?
Can be a good
for Seoul, for Seoul style.
San Francisco Shock will sign that player. So no.
Okay,
Exactly. See, we wasted his time telling you, Monty. Why is he going to help his enemies eat, as they might say?
That's great.
So, what about this then? So, luckily, there's another Korean team that's having some problems at the moment called the London Spitfire, and they also lost many, many games. Used to be a good team. What do you think of this team, Crusty? What's wrong with the London Spitfire?
Oh, just so maybe not sure. I can't say sure, but I feel like maybe they think too much for Bridget. Maybe after the lots of team use Bridget, they always struggle when enemy use Bridget. So yeah, maybe they know the answer, but I think they over concentrate at enemy Bridget. Some map have a good structure, so you don't need to use Bridget for some map. But they are if they think A, then just they do A, all time A.
Yeah,
they need to change during the match, but if they think A, then they just do A. So I think that is the problem.
I think that's my biggest complaint with London is that they've always had a really big problem with changing compositions in the match, and now it's more important than ever. However, this last week when they played against the LA Gladiators in the first two, so they played against Valiant and Gladiators this last week. In the Valiant game, they were making swaps, but it was always one team fight too late. So they would say, oh no, we have an ultimate, we should use that. But then they would lose the team fight, and then it would snowball because they didn't change compositions fast enough. In the game against the Gladiators, in the first two matches, they were changing instantly. They actually looked like they had figured out how to change. And I think maybe that is Closer being in the lineup because they add him against Gladiators, and suddenly these problems seem to be fixed. But then after the half, Gladiators reverse sweeps, they win 3 games, and I don't know why, but they can't switch heroes anymore. I think it's their biggest problem is they cannot switch heroes in game. I think the coaches say they give them a game plan and they start with this game plan, but then the players inside the game can't change the game plan for whatever reason. They don't have a strategy, a voice of strategy within the team. So it's really weird, London, because when they're at their best, they their ceiling is so high. They have so much skill. But they just can't make the calls in game for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's right. For me, I also agree with that. I think the London's all of the player have a really high potential, and their mechanic is already very good. Like Barstring, his Widowmaker is very insane, and Bidoshin is one of the great gen player. So
yeah.
Maybe I think like maybe they just overthink always. So I think that makes the problem. That caused the problem. What I said the first time. Like think too much for Bridget or I'm not sure that because
What do you think, Harsha? What are your thoughts on London Spitfire?
They have a weird inability to adapt. I think that the most telling match was their match against Fuel, which was last week, where they ran full dive into Bridget for 2 straight maps and didn't got
what the
first held on both.
And they weren't doing it in that really cool NYXL way of look at what we can do. They were just no, this is really what we think will work. We're trying our hardest, honestly.
It's just it's really frustrating to see too, because they're always a team that has had our number. I think we've always dealt really poorly with Gesture, and he always kind of wrecks our team. But
He gets busy.
when you see, well, when you see him like play against other teams and they just can't change their style, it's like really frustrating because their players are so good, but they're like not able to make the most of them, I feel.
Okay. Did you see the little bit of trash talk that Fisher did, though, when the Gladiators won that game? And here's the thing, though. Apparently, by the way, props to that guy who's the translator, because apparently he does sex it up a little bit. Like, it is definitely, the gist of what was said by Fisher was, like, I was on London or whatever, so what did they think about me winning now? But what's good is the translator sort of changed it to sort of be the equivalent of like, how you like me now, London? Like, he made it like a little bit sexier. Like it was fire. I can't lie, that was pretty good. Not sure that would actually change. Okay, actually, what about that then, Crusty? So since the London team has some problems with adapting inside of the game, obviously, at the time that they let Fisher go and he went to Gladiators, it made sense. They had Gesture, who probably better than him at the time. Very, very good tank player. But would having someone like Fisher, who could be an in-game leader, who could be a shot caller inside the game, would that have helped London?
For me, I want to say, even I was in London, I want to pick Gesture because there's two good options, honestly, like a Fisher and Gesture. But Gesture, I think Gesture is sometimes very flank, but sometimes he's made. Like I think he can play the both style. But Fisher, I also think he can also do both. But normally he like to play at main, like like fast tempo diving and play aggro. But for me, if I just think about long term and like, for adopting the strategy, then I'll want to pick Gesture. So I think the London choice is fine because if they have a two great tanker, they can't use both. But I think some map they can also use. But maybe they have a value for selling the player. I am not sure for that. But so that's why. But also that is a little nonsense because the Gesture is really good for doing both sides, but now the London is struggling for like that com and how to play that personally that com. So maybe that is a little nonsense. Yeah. But if they just Fisher played, I think that can also be helped because Fisher's style, Fisher make the team style like more aggressive and just giving a decision like, hey, let's do this and let's do this. So it's more clear. But I think the London want to play the game very smart. But maybe it takes a time. I'm not sure, but London is adopting. I'm not sure, but just it's like I think they're so greedy. Maybe it makes the teamers. I'm not sure.
Wait a minute. What do you mean they're greedy?
Greedy means like they wanna do the most clever thing. But if you use something, one thing is not good. But if you do that better, then you can just also find the answer. But always, I feel like every match, they want to change something a lot. Maybe just adopt at the one thing, not Genjin Tracer. Just without that, just adopt that one style and just know how to burst it with that. Like teaching that is way better for them. Just that is my opinion.
Yes, the grass isn't always greener. That's what we say in the West.
I also think I think Gesture and Fissure are both fantastic tanks, but I think for the current meta, it's better suited to Fissure because he's a much better Reinhardt player. And in the most recent matches, especially the one against the Gladiators, when Gesture plays Reinhardt, he goes way too aggro and takes like suicide charges and gets way away from his supports. I do think Gesture is probably the best Orisa player in the league. He is really fucking good at Orisa and what he can do with that. And I think Prophet is probably the best Brigitte player in the league. But they just don't have, they haven't been able to play Reinhardt effectively. And I think that's a big part of their problems. I do think that them playing like the tank heavy styles with how good Prophet is at Brigitte is a good choice for them. And we saw them at least be able to take a couple of wins against the Gladiators that way.
That's pretty underwhelming then if you have a 3-5 record and you have the best Brigitte and one of the best tanks in the whole league.
I mean, I agree with you. Like, they're definitely underperforming considering what we should be expecting from this team. And now whether they can get it together for the playoffs. I thought they would win one of the 2 matches against LA teams this week. Instead, they lost both of them, but they were close matches. And I think that's the thing about London is like, you can see in the first Gladiator matches when they're actually making the comp switches, they can be very dominant. Like, that's the missing piece with this team right now. And if they can get that under control, they're going to be a huge threat in the playoffs.
Okay.
But they've never been able to do that, so I don't really have a lot of confidence that they're going to at this stage.
Okay. So a team that we've discussed a lot, Crusty, is a team we touched on a little bit in this episode, actually, was the Valiant, because obviously we talked about Need, who was in your team formerly, in like the RX Foxes or whatever you were called at the time. So in this period now, Valiant is having really good results. Like they're the top, right? They haven't lost a game in this stage. They've gotten better and better over the last couple of stages. What do you think of Valiant at the moment? Because on paper, the game says they're the best team in the league, Crusty, but do you really believe that?
The fate.
No, is Valiant, Los Angeles Valiant, are they the best team in the Overwatch League right now?
Right now, if I also think about the Lionheart comp, then maybe, they are, I think they're really best team now. But yeah. I also don't know that, and I also can play that because I didn't see that. So for now, I think the Valiant is the strongest team now in the Overwatch League.
Take that, Monty.
No, like
maybe they also hide this strategy also in itself.
I will say that their match against NYXL, like it was weird because it felt like NYXL was a better team in the series when you were just watching it, but then they still lost because they're just doing stupid stuff.
Yeah,
so
like Spider Pine.
Yeah, so I don't really know what to say.
They're sandbagging. That's what you say.
Well, yeah, but in the sense that I think that after that match, I think that the New York players were probably trying harder, but maybe they weren't. I don't know if they purposefully weren't adapting their strategy, like the coaches decided not to, or if it's like what Crusty says, where he just doesn't think that they can play Ryan Zarya, or if we just don't know that whether they can play Ryan Zarya. So I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I do think that the Valiant match was very telling, though. Like, I don't think they were trying their hardest, I guess, sandbagging.
Okay, but if let's just remove New York for a second. Let's forget whether they're sandbagging or not. Just imagine a league that didn't have the New York Excelsior. The problem is this, Harsha. Before, there were some people like wanting to go on the sleeper. They wanted to be like, oh, it's actually Shock. Shock's getting really good. Last results suggest perhaps not, perhaps. Then you had Gladiators, obviously right there, still very good, and they had that weird match against each other, so it's hard to really know which to take out of that one. Beyond that, it's been too up and down. Like, okay, Fuel looked really good, but then that was for a limited period of time. Fusion they've never been bad, but they've never been the best at the moment. No one really knows what to make of the Outlaws. Most people downplay them, though. So would it be unreasonable to say Valiant is the best team outside of New York Excelsior?
It wouldn't be unreasonable. Yeah.
No,
Is it your opinion, though?
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that's weird about Valiant when you talk about them as a team. Like, you don't realize that they're what 8-0 right now, right?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know what to say. Like,
they don't pass the eye test. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Why though?
It's like a weird phenomenon to describe, I would say. Like for whatever reason, I want to put like teams like Gladiators or especially Gladiators above them because I feel like they look more dominant in their victories but I just don't know why it is that Valiant doesn't strike me as the best team in the league.
Crusty, when we've talked about the Valiant team, people say even though they're winning every game, it looks like they're just a consistent team. Like, they're just good, they know what to do, but they don't like crush the opponent. They don't just beat them all easily. The players don't look like, oh, they've got all the best players in the Overwatch. They just look like good players. Why do you think they aren't looking so amazing even though they win every game? What do you think of this?
I think the Valiant was always very strongest team. Always like always they get a high grade, high score at the season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4. Like, but there was Boston, so we inherit that. Just we make them. Yeah, we win it, and just we make them more lower. But
Yes.
I always think the Valiant is really strongest team, and after this meta, especially some map, the Rhino is very good, right? But when at the Might AOD, when at
Mighty
the Might
AOD, yeah.
Mighty AOD, I don't know about the clear name, but just Mighty.
Yeah.
They're really strong at the tanker comp, and I think the Pate is really amazing. The Reinhardt, how
Okay.
can control the tempo, and the Sentinel meta is very fit for them, so they can maximize the Reinhardt comp. So
And also, they have the mighty AOD coach, MBC,
sure. So
Yeah.
so that's fine.
so that all ties into why they might be good at this. And also, you said earlier, Crusty, that you thought MBC, the Valiant coach, was very good at teaching how to communicate and like fundamentals. And what we see when we look at the Valiant is we see a team that is very, very good at playing meta strategies,
Yeah.
but they're not very exciting. They don't have unique strategies for Valiants. They just play meta every game. And I think that's why a lot of people like Harsha and I are like, Gladiators are the better team because they have more strategies, like different strategies, but it's just the execution of the Valiant strategies that's very good. So they're not the most exciting teams to watch, which is why I think that's why you're always kind of like, are Valiant good? They don't really have, in Korean, Crusty, you'd say like a color to the team. They're just the meta team, right?
I think that might have been why I was downplaying
Yeah,
them. Like,
also I feel like that.
yeah, they're very, they're not very flashy, but they always win.
You have to understand what he's actually exposed in you guys is your Western plebness, where you just want like, oh look, he's so talented and exciting. Wow, he could do anything, and then he's just like, well, they win the game. They did what the game required of them, so they are the best. My results tell me. Let me see. Yep, top of the scoreboard, 8-0. Yeah, they are the best. Sorry. What were you guys talking about again? No, but in losses though, the Gladiators so exciting, so good. Yeah, but they lost, so that means actually they are inferior. He's like, do you guys understand how the scoreboard works and the standings? Like,
To be fair, I think Gladiators have only lost to Valiant.
true.
Yes. Yeah, and that was a very close match.
Yeah.
And I also think that we've talked about this, but their Zarya, Brigitte, Widowmaker comps were really bad in that matchup. Crusty, what do you think about Brigitte, Zarya, Widowmaker compositions?
Brigade, Zarya, Widowmaker.
I've noticed you don't run those compositions.
Yeah, sure. I think like a Dallas Cup, like Line Diva, Bridget, Widowmaker, then I think it's fine. Maybe it have
Diva, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying Zarya, Widowmaker, Brigitte. No Diva.
Don't have idea. Yeah,
I don't like it because there's
other concept.
Yeah, there's like nothing to do with when you grab, like that's a win condition normally if you have a Zarya, but when you have a Widow, you can't. There's nothing you can do about it.
Also, there's a tanker. Lots of tanker players leak higher the Zarya when lots of tanker won a Zarya. Like that barrier is very good for a fight versus the Reinhardt, right? So maybe the player leak higher, or just I don't know, maybe just my idea. Maybe the player leak higher. I'm not sure of that.
Yeah. Anyway, so but as for the Gladiators, like that's the thing too, is that running some of these compositions, sometimes they get too crazy and then you end up with, I'm not sure what the point of that was. And I generally think like strategically and in terms of game plans, the Gladiators are very smart. I was surprised they were able to come back and beat London yesterday, though. But again, I think that's more on London than it is on Gladiators. Like Gladiators played a perfectly good game, and ended up eventually exploiting London's inability to change their compositions, as well as Surefour, having a good day.
Crusty, what do you think of the Gladiators?
Gladiators. I think that they're for me, I feel like a Gladiators, like their concept is clear, but I think also that clear concept is their strengths. I said that before, like a gesture, like a London, they wanted the flexible, but like a Gladi, their style is very clear, like aggressive and like For Palo, like Winston Diva and Widow and Para, and sort of for Lionheart, they play aggressive. Like, so I think that makes the team very coordinated. Like, maybe a little one side, but you know that some team is good at flexible, but they can't be perfect, right?
Yes.
But Gladiator, their that kind of strategy and their kind of style makes they're very good at that play.
Yes.
So I think that's why the Gladiator is really strong.
Okay. Monty, resolve this problem for me then, though. If they have a style that they're really good at, it's clear, and they're like one of the best at, how do they also have all these strategies you were referring to before? How do you resolve the two?
I think it's really like when we talk about the Gladiators, the clarity I think that he's referencing is that they really know how to use their players properly, in that they get maximum value, and they have like interesting DPS rotations, although they've pretty much settled on Surefour and Hydration for this meta, which I think is probably the right call. But they come in when they have a strategy, it's most of the time very well thought out and very well executed and tailored to their opponent. So there's more variety there, but they come in and when you see how they execute these strats, you know what they're thinking behind them, and that thought process, I think, is the clarity that the clarity of concept that you see. So that's why a lot of people like watching the Gladiators, because it does seem like it's, they're a well-coached team that has like distinct looks, as opposed to the Valiant, who, not to say they don't look like a well-coached team, it's just different because the Gladiators are more adaptive to what their opponents are doing, while the Valiant, you know exactly what they're going to do. It's just that they execute it very well, if that makes sense.
Okay.
They're quite different teams.
Crusty, what do you think about the Dallas Fuel?
Dallas Fuel. Yeah. Also, I think they really good adopted at the. Maybe they're a little same as Gladiator, but little different is they really good adopted at the line Diva Bridget.com. Lots of team think flexible. Sometimes, maybe they use .com, then maybe we use Vincent Diva, and how about DPS, like a Para Junkrat, but they're clear, like a Ryan Diva Bridget for some special map, right? But I think it makes also they play better, they don't need to think about the comp, then they need just maximize about, okay, with this comp, how can we do better? Their combo is amazing, Mickey and OGE, those synergy, and a Seeger, Shatter, or a Stun, Diva Bomb, or that kind of things. Combo is really amazing, and they know, because they use that comp for a really long time, and so they know how to versus with the other comp. So I think that is really their strength. Yeah.
What do you think of the Dallas Fuel, Harsha?
I mean, I think they are good at that one comp, but I don't think they're a very they've always been a team that, even back in Apex Season 1 when they were playing a lot of tanks, they've always been a team that could combo a lot and get maximum value out of all of their ultimates and stuff like that. But in terms of their hero pools, I don't think they're very deep. And so while I think they're a very good team in this meta, I think that maybe it is this meta propping them up a lot, because they're allowed to play the Bridget, Reinhardt, Diva. You just keep comboing ultimates, right? And then Taimu can do whatever he wants on the Widowmaker. So and he looks like he's back in form too. So I mean, that's one good thing to say about them. But I think that they are a bit artificially propped up.
So I have a question, because you obviously did a lot of preparation and you guys came out with a win over the Dallas Fuel. So you also, Dallas Fuel, I think, was undefeated when they played you. Is that correct?
I think 3-1.
They were 3-1. Okay. But they were rolling a lot of good teams with their composition that, like you say, they are very, very adept at executing. So what was your game plan going in? What were the weaknesses that you noticed that you said, I want to exploit? San Francisco Shock is going to do this against the Dallas Fuel. What was that mentality? Because obviously you're not really going to play them again, so it doesn't really matter if we discuss the strategies going.
Well, I think some of the things that we prepped for were specifically like their habits are very clear. Mickey's always going to be like hiding around a corner with Bridget trying to stun you when you walk by. Like they're not very much. They're not like that big of a flanky team, but you need to like make sure that you cover for when they do hide and try and combo you. So I think like in terms of we mostly just like gave the team stuff to be careful for, and then gave them the comps to run and how to kind of play the comps into Dallas's comp, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like a line diva Bridget is very strong for like for flexible. Like I think for their style, I think line diva Bridget is very good for like a double sniper, or like especially King's Row. Like they're just keep trying to control the Seeker tried to control the flank at that time, like just control the flank and just stay rush with a combo like that. But so first is we just counter with the comp. I think the Ryan Diva Jarya is just think about the tanker. Line Diva Jarya is more stronger than Ryan Diva Bridget, because think about the ultimate combo. It's a Bridget ultimate have a value, and maybe Bridget stun have a value, but we also have a Diva and we also have Jarya. Jarya bubble is way stronger for when you just versus with Reinhardt, right? So first we just counter with a comp, and after we just keep talking about their habit. So just we counter that team. So that's why we win. Also that is that team's problem. It's easy to predict.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, by the way, since on the last episode we had that discussion where we were trying to figure out who the best Western player is, and we went for Space from the LA Valiant, and then we were trying to figure out who the other names would be, because like Muma probably isn't as good on Outlaws as he was in the past. Actually, Yiska had a suggestion that I don't think we discussed, which was what about Seagull?
Yeah, I mean, Seagull's been playing well on the Hanzo. I think his Diva's been really good in this stage. I think we weren't really talking about him because he hasn't played a lot, so it's not like the largest sample size. But yeah, I think right now Seagull's playing great. But it's impressive how fast he was able to learn Diva and adapt into that role. And in terms of statistics, he's like a top 2 Diva in the league, I think, at the moment.
For me, I think that Seagull is a very great player, but I always think about how vocal he is, and I feel like he's very good player, but maybe his style a little passive. So for me, for just his mechanic and that kind of thing, he's really insane, and he's really good for supporting the teammate. But like when they also that's like using like I said one like more not vocal player, like if I don't feel like a Seeker can lead the team. Like he can help and he can support, but I think also we know that Seeker can't lead. Then I think it's also just for coach. It's easy to counter that. Like especially when you play Genji, then he will be a little passive when you just try to mark him like that. Okay. So I think that just Seagull's problem maybe about Boko, but I don't know about him well, but just I feel like that.
Yes. Well done with the disclaimer that everyone Korean comes with all that. It's like that's the second button on their back. First one's like, cheer for me, I show good games. Second one's like, I cannot know really this answer. I speculate. Listen, speculation is what this show's all about, Crusty. Don't worry. These aren't all facts, they're opinions. So, okay, a team I would really like to know your opinion on is the Philadelphia Fusion, because they seem like a very unusual team, because on the one hand, kind of like what I was saying before, making fun of these guys with the Gladiators, all the Western analysts love this team because they are like, look at all the players they have, so versatile and deep, and this player wasn't so good before, but they're so strong now. But they're such an up and down team at the moment. So what do you think of Fusion at the moment?
So for me, Fusion, I thought that Echo, just a little out of topic, that at the match, I thought that Echo was injured. So just make a strategy for Shadowburn, but
yes, but Crusty, you know that injured. I'm not saying EQO was not injured. He might have been. I don't know. But you know what injured means in Overwatch League. Injured means I don't feel like playing. Injured means injured. Injured means sick. You know what I mean?
I thought that he need to take a surgery. So I thought that was really huge.
He had to perform some first.
Yeah, I think, Also, I said Tarka about Eco. Yeah, he is the strongest for that team. And also Carpet. But for like a Widowmaker, I also think there's lots of good players for Western. But for like EQO, I think he's really amazing player because he can play all of the hero pool. And also, maybe not good at all of the hero, but he's very good at all the hero. And also, he's very vocal. So he supports the team very well. And so I think that EQO and Carpe is their strengths. Like Carpe, I don't feel like he target too much. Maybe he just concentrates his play, but EQO try to micromanagement during the play. And he lead the team. Maybe not lead, but he just communicate a lot with the team. And his plays are amazing. So I always afraid of the Carpe and EQO still.
Okay. I mean, here's the thing, Monty. I'm with him on that. Like, it is getting too much that everyone's like, "Oh, I'm injured," and like, "Oh, you're playing in the game, though, aren't you?" How's that possible? It reminds me of this classic moment from the NBA. Right? It was in the finals 10 years ago. It was the 2008 finals, and the two teams playing with the Lakers, so like Kobe, Gasol, and then the other team playing was the Boston Celtics, which at the time this was the first season they put together this like all-star team of like Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen and Paul Pierce, who was the small forward who matched up with Kobe Bryant in the games. This was like the marquee matchup everyone wanted to see. In game one of this finals, right, he gets injured. Like, he was on the floor, like, holding his knee, like, my knee. He's like doing his best European soccer player impression. Like, bloody hell, my knee, it's ruptured. And this is what's mad, right, Monty? Because he was overplaying it so much, they didn't just take him to the back. Like, normally if you get injured on your leg, someone will put their arm over, like, they'll put your arm over their neck.
Hobble over.
And you sort of, you hobble them like on 1 foot out, right? And then you go, right, he's injured, but we'll see what the coach says. They literally brought a fucking wheelchair out, wheeled this guy off. And are you ready for the kicker to the story? Because everyone makes fun of him to this day for this. Oh no, don't worry. He came back in like the third quarter and made like 5 3-pointers or something, and was like, oh, your legs work now, don't they? It's weird that you couldn't even walk earlier in this game. Remember a basketball game where it lasts like 2 hours or something? Like, it was so ludicrous. Everyone now is just like, boo, you fucking suck. That's so fraudulent. It's unreal, isn't it? Like, it's unreal.
But you know that they use a Carpet shadow burn for before.
Yes,
like the week before.
So that was, I think, why they don't use EQ? And I heard like, he needs to take a surgery. So
we heard a rumor about his wrist surgery or something along those lines.
Stop trusting rumors. Just start.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I get a lesson. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. There's too many rumors in the scene. That's what tore the Dallas Fuel apart. Never forget. They're actually a good team now. So I guess in the end, they can thank us, right? All the rumors. What we did is we were the fucking crucible that burned out all the weak parts of the Dallas Fuel. You're welcome, Astro. Yeah, you had a bunch of players on your team before, couldn't handle the heat. We got rid of them for you. You can send that. I'll send you my invoice now, like fucking Drake in that scenario, Harsha. That would be respectable. Imagine if we all just sent him an invoice, like it's got to be like 50k or something. Get rid of all those players, the coach, everything. What about this then? Okay. Oh, actually, you haven't told us your thoughts, Monty. What do you think of the Fusion at the moment?
For me?
No, for me,
He's just lost in this one.
I'm not sold on the Fusion right now because they were so inconsistent. They were looking pretty bad at the end of stage 3. They lacked leadership, and like frankly, their reverse sweeps this week have been Carpe and EQO making giant plays, basically, and snatching some victories out of the jaws of defeat. And I don't think that as great of a player as Carpe is, and I think he's probably number 2 after Jonak in terms of the MVP conversation. It's either him or Fissure probably. I really don't see how that is a viable strategy to have Carpe randomly pop off in massive ways and then carry your team for 3 maps when you're down 0-2. Like It's not going to happen every game, right? That's not reliable. And I say that even though Carpe is one of the most consistent players in the league. So I think they need to get some of their shot calling together. Like their team fighting still looks a bit weak. Their ultimate economy looks weak. It's like, does Carpe hit headshots or not? Yes, no. Then Philadelphia wins.
Yeah.
And there's also, I imagine, as you guys, the San Francisco Shock, that's probably pretty fucking hard to prepare for.
Yeah, we pretty much guessed they were going to run double sniper the entire, or most of the series, right? And then they did it, and we still had a hard time dealing with it, even though we had like specific scenarios in mind, and they played out. But like they're a team that is so mechanically good that it's like even when you know what they're going to do, it's hard to prepare for. But they're also, I feel like they're very predictable too.
Okay.
Right. Even if they're predictable, like you can't just account for Carpe's
exactly
your team.
Like he literally on Garden, I remember as soon as both our team and their team crossed bridge, he just killed 2 people. Like the second he saw Dae-hee and Sleepy, I think it was. So like, I don't know. It's hard to do anything about that when he's like hitting really ridiculous shots.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing, and that's why I say talk about Ikugo and Carpe. Honestly, I don't feel like their team is doing really good on maybe data strategy, but
Carpe
I
go
don't
kill
feel
people.
like there's a strong some strategy, but I feel like just giving more chance to DPS and DPS make something. How about it work? So then who will blame?
So in this coming week, the interesting scenario is obviously who will make the stage playoffs. Because in this scenario, and then obviously the bigger question is who makes the overall playoffs. So let's do the stage one first. So in the stage playoffs, right, in theory, Shock has not mathematically been eliminated, but not only would you have to beat the Valiant, which is one of your games, but then presumably when it's like that and you're the bottom team, you need like a ridiculous amount of other games to all go exactly in the right order, right?
So it's not terribly like out of reason. So the way it works is Philly, Houston, and Dallas are the teams we're competing with for a spot. Yes. Philly and Houston play each other, so one of them's already going to have 4 losses, and then I believe Houston plays New York and Philly plays Valiant. So those aren't matches that are out of the question either. And then Fuel plays Valiant. So basically, every team we're competing against plays like a hard opponent.
So Philly plays New York.
Philly plays Houston and London.
Oh, London, sorry. So Philly plays London.
Okay. So theirs is doable, potentially.
All right, we do need London to probably beat Philly then.
Okay.
I mean, London is certainly capable of beating Philly. Whether they feel like it or not is another story.
Yeah.
And then Houston plays New York and Philly. So, okay, Houston absolutely could 0-2. That's not implausible.
And then Fuel plays Valiant.
I mean, Houston 0-2ing, I think, is like the most likely.
Yeah. Okay. And then I think as long as like Valiant doesn't just sandbag against Fuel, because they probably will have the number 1 seed this stage locked up, that should be a win for Valiant, I think. So we do need the 2-0 next week, and we do have a pretty decent map differential actually, but we need help.
That's the tiebreaker, is map differential, yeah?
Yeah, map differential.
Okay. And then wait a minute. And then it's just that Valiant will pick which of the teams they play.
Correct.
Yes.
So here's the question. Does who makes it in the 4th spot change who you think the Valiant will pick? Like, who do you think they would want to play out of the teams?
I think they'll probably pick whoever comes into the 4th spot. Like, I don't think they'll... Gladiators in New York, like, you never want to pick New York even if you beat them already. And I think Gladiators is a team that always goes close with Valiant. So I would assume they pick us, Philly, Houston, or Fuel. Like, I think that would seem most reasonable for them.
Okay. Okay, Monty, you're obviously not involved in any team scenario, and they have to believe in their minds that they're going to do it somehow. So, which two teams make it out of these teams? So we're saying Valiant and New York make it. Obviously, who makes it? Who are the other two?
Oh, Gladiators is obviously in.
Oh, sorry, in
I think
Gladiator.
Yeah, it's Valiant and Gladiators who are in. The question is whether New York will be there, because if they end up at 6-4, they could have some issues. But they also have a +16 map differential, so they probably win any tiebreakers.
And they're playing
at least
Boston
for this.
and the Outlaws.
Yeah, they're playing Boston and the Outlaws. So it's really like, I guess Harsh is right. It's really just up to those last few. I guess with San Francisco, the nice thing is that they have the same map differential as the Dallas Fuel, even though they've lost another game. So if they go 6-4, like San Francisco, if they win both of their matches and we have like a big tie for 6-4, which is possible, then San Francisco has a better chance to win, just because they have, like, obviously they should 4-0 the Dragons. And if they can beat Valiant, then they should have a pretty good win rate. But I don't think you guys are going to beat the Valiant, unfortunately, as much as I would like you to, because I think it would be just interesting to see you in the playoffs, given that your performance has been generally good and you guys are a fun team to watch right now.
Plus
Well, I do think.
I think the most likely.
I think it's hard.
scenario is
I
Philly.
think Dallas is. I think it's either Dallas or Philly. But Philadelphia could go 1-1 as well against London, but they could also go 2-0 and then just end 7-3. So yeah, I think it's probably Philadelphia or Dallas, just given the schedules. Unless you guys can pull off the big win and hope for a loss.
The problem is the Philly one's obviously interesting, because if they do play against the Valiant team, I would certainly like to see that match in a playoff setting. And then the Fuel one, because not only obviously have they like resurrected themselves in this stage, but this literally could be them playing for their careers in terms of some of the players. So you'd hope they'll go fucking hard in the stage playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you would. I mean, we've discussed this like last week too, but I think the Dallas Fuel are going to get, like, they should be blown up. And also, I think Yiska in Sideshow had a video where they debated this, like, even if the Dallas Fuel do well in this stage, do you still blow up the roster? And I think you do. I think there are a lot of changes that need to be made, even though they are looking better right now. Because we talked about it earlier, how they are sort of meta dependent at the moment, and there's a lot of there's a lot of, I think, dead weight to get rid of on that team.
Yes. Well, the sad thing is, it's not even like they're like a meta slave directly. It almost looks like they literally tried to make the meta now so that Dallas Fuel had a chance to finally do good. It's so ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah. It's like someone
they got real lucky.
Crusty, what do you think? So next season of Overwatch League, obviously teams will have a chance before then to change the players that they have on their squad. So if a team did really badly, Shanghai Dragons, for example, they might change a lot of players. Maybe they'll only pick 1 or 2 players. Because the Fuel was doing so badly for the other stages until stage 4, most people thought, okay, maybe they will just fire everyone. Maybe they'll only keep Effect and one other player, and, they'll just start again. They'll say, right, this team didn't work. But the problem is, in stage 4, they're winning games. Now they're actually having matches that make sense. All the players, you've talked about them, Taimu looks better, Seagull looks better. The team's starting to make some sense. So if you were in charge of Fuel for Season 2, would you change a lot of players? Would you keep the same team? What do you think they should do?
For me, why the Fury struggle is because of the flexibility. So even they are good at this season, I don't think they have a reason to keep the player. Honestly, like maybe they can keep some player for specialist or like for flex, but I don't think they need to keep the player. Honestly, that is my opinion.
Yeah. In fact, actually, Monty, the other sick thing that I just remembered as well about how the meta worked for them is like they even don't need a tracer when Effect say, "Yeah, I'm not coming back," and it's like cancel tracer from the meta. Like, what is this shit? Like,
they did get super lucky.
That is so ridiculous, isn't it? Like, look how ridiculously bad they'd be now. Like, who the fuck would be playing the tracer right now if they had to?
It would be a disaster. Like they are very lucky that Mickey happened to be very good at Brigitte. And so many things had to happen for this, by the way. These are the things that had to happen for them to be good this stage without Effect here. Obviously, no tracer, good for them. Mickey had to be randomly very good at Brigitte. They had to accidentally train Seagull to be a diva and then have it work. Like, think about that. That's actually crazy. Like, they tried to get him to play the flex tank instead, moved him onto that role, and then all of a sudden he's in a meta where he can flex between diva and projectile DPS. It's like, well, congratulations, I guess. This is just working out for you perfectly, Dallas. Absolutely crazy.
And they don't have to play dive. So
And they can play Lucio again, too.
Yeah. Not bad. Not half bad, eh?
But yes, it's this team, like, for all their limitations, they do have, when you come across a meta that's very good for the Dallas, just like on Envious in Apex Season 1, right? Nobody thought they were going to win that tournament. Like, Tailspin leaves after group stages, they randomly get Mickey, then the patch changes. Yeah. The patch changes, a diva becomes important, Mickey happens to be a very good diva, and then they win the entire tournament, right? They just get stupid lucky at times.
Yeah. Agree with that. Let's see.